Do you want to know what it takes to get a perfect score on the SAT writing section? Then let's talk. My name is Brooke. I've been coaching this thing for over a decade and a half. I've had multiple students score perfectly on this section. We've got courses for the SAT and the ACT online at SupertutorTV.com that I recommend that you check out. We also have online tutoring available, as well as a blog and lots of other resources. We have totally free content here on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe by clicking subscribe below this video and plug in with us. You can subscribe to our mailing list for free, SupertutorTV.com/subscribe, or join us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Cool? So let's talk writing section. The SAT writing section is the easier half for most students to get a perfect score on in terms of the evidence-based reading and writing section. I'm going to be, spoiler alert, taking some examples throughout this video from October 2020's QAS. So if you don't want to see those because you're going to take that QAS on your own, fine, cool. But you've been warned. First thing that I'm going to say, if you want to get a perfect score in the writing section, is you've got to know your grammar basics up and down. And what I mean by that is you shouldn't be just approaching the test by what sounds good, by your ear. You need to know the rules. And when you see a question, understand what is this question testing, right? So if you look down the answer choices, for example, and you see verbs, you know, oh, I see will place, have placed, placed, right? This is testing verb tense, maybe verb form, maybe subject-verb agreement. I got to check my verbs. You instantly know what to do. That's what you need on every question. When you look at that question, you know, what is the SAT testing? How is it testing it? You need that kind of real understanding of how the test makers are engineering this exam. How do you do that? You can use an online course like ours. You could use a private tutor. You can use a book. But whatever it is or however you get to that, you need to know all the grammar. That's usually pretty easy for people. Most people can get up to about a 700 after knowing all the grammar. But then you hit some more road bumps. So the next thing you need to know is sort of like style. And what is style? Style is things like diction. It's things like idiomatic usage, concision and clarity, and comparisons. These are kind of a little bit harder to master because they're fine-tuned notes of grammar where the rule changes every time, right? Diction, for example, every word has different contexts where it's appropriate and other ones where it's not. So there's a lot more level of specificity you have to learn. You can't just learn a general rule of thumb that you apply 100 times. You've got to learn, oh, not only goes with but also. That's an idiomatic pair, right? So let's take a look really quickly. I'm going to show you an example of a question that gets into this fine-tuned kind of space. So here we have number 17. So he believes his sampling qualifies as fair use, a legally permissible borrowing of copyrighted material for transformative purpose. And we want to know, how do we say this? A legally permissible borrowing of copyrighted material? That's okay. A legal and lawful use of copyrighted material. That rolls off the tongue a little easier. I have some of my students who say, Brooke, it's shorter, right? These are long words. These are shorter words. It's shorter. I like it. It sounds punchy. Okay, we're going to get into that in a second. But here's the issue. Legal means lawful. And if you know the rules of the SAT, you know that redundancy is a big flag. If two things mean exactly the same thing, and legal and lawful do, the SAT is not going to make it an answer. This is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words. It's arguable whether this is shorter or longer because this is 4 words, this is 5 words, but these are shorter words. Arguable. But redundancy isn't arguable. I know it's wrong because I know this test and I know the rules. Okay. Then we have legal acquisition through borrowing. Now this sounds pretty good too, and it's only 4 words. So both of these sound kind of right. But here's where we get into it. Acquisition. What does acquisition mean? Acquisition means possession, gaining control over. Acquisition has to do with control. And if you know that fine shade of meaning of that word, you will know that fair use is not talking about acquiring something, right? I'm using fair use right now to show you guys this question. I didn't contract with the College Board. They didn't pay any money. I'm just showing you one question here. I'm going to show you maybe 2 from a whole test. I'm not going to show you the whole test. So acquisition would mean owning it. I'm not owning anything. He's not owning anything. That doesn't work, okay? So legal acquisition doesn't work because the precision of the word, right? And then we have valid means or acceptable method, in other words, to borrow. And this is just super wordy, right? I think you all know that that one's wordy. Valid means or acceptable method. These are both the same idea, right? So the answer is A. You can see, though, how, 1, I have to know the rules. I have to know that redundancy is a no-go, right? 2, I need to be able to look at the fine-tuned difference in meaning between borrowing and acquisition and feel that out and know exactly which word is more relevant to the context in which I'm dealing, right? And what's happening. This is borrowing of copyrighted material. What does that mean? How does that work? I have to be more careful about what word I use there. So that's kind of the process when you're getting into these harder kind of style questions. That's the kind of thing that you're going to have to do. You also have to weigh the test's different rules, right? Shorter is better is kind of a rule, but that's a lower tiered rule than concision or clarity. So I have to put clarity, concision, and precision over shortness. And you guys have to know that hierarchy. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about something else, which is the idea of rhetorical strategy. These are questions that might have stems, meaning they ask like to improve the cohesion and flow. They might say this sentence is best placed. It might be a keep delete question. But whatever it is, you really have to not only look at grammar, you have to look at what does the entire passage mean. And even some of the grammar questions that are harder require you to step outside of just the, oh, this is shorter is better, or oh, this is redundant, right? That kind of autopilot thinking can get you so far on the SAT. But if you want a perfect, you have to think beyond the autopilot. And this particular question type, these rhetorical strategy questions, are really going to press you to do that. And I would even argue the hardest grammar and style questions will also ask you to do that. You can't just look at what grammatically works. You've got to think what logically works, what holistically works, and understand it and know its framework. You need to treat it like reading comprehension. You need to find the thesis. However, remixing is a culturally valuable art form, right? This thesis here, you're going to have to read that. You need to read your topic sentences of every paragraph. Whenever you're dealing with a paragraph placement or a transition question, you need to read the whole paragraph at play. And then you might even need to skim the paragraph ahead and skim the paragraph to come, because you need a total overview of what in the world is going on. So I'm going to show you guys a question that kind of falls into this category so you can see like what does a tough question look like here and how do you get to the right answer. So my big tips are you need to read more, you need to zoom out. I know I say this in a bunch of my videos, but maybe here with this question I'll kind of try to show you how this works. 32, at this point, we're considering adding the following sentence, but in those with less active public spaces, anonymous enrollment was 2.4%, observable was 3.8%, a difference of only 1.4 percentage points. So this is a nice sentence. If I look at what's going on over here, though, we already have a sentence that's kind of similar, but it's about high activity public spaces. So it says here, in residence where sign-up sheets were posted, but I'm like, sign-up sheets, what are sign-up sheets? I have no idea what's going on. So the first thing I want to do is orient myself. And if I orient myself, and I'm just going to kind of summarize this for you guys, there's this team of researchers, which is Yoeli's team. And they set up this experiment to kind of see the importance of reputation. To do that, they had an installation of a device that limited the use of air conditioning in people's domestic residences, and the researchers placed a sign-up sheet in a public place in housing developments and apartment buildings. And they wanted to see who signs up for this, and they want to see if we give people an anonymous code to sign up, right, versus their names, what's the more popular way to sign up? Do people want to be anonymous or do they want to use their names? When they use their names, it makes it observable to neighbors. So the researchers postulated that if they're using their names, well, then we're going to get more people to sign up if they like to be observable, whereas the opposite would otherwise be true. They found that the observable sign-up strategy was 3 times more effective than the anonymous one. So using a code, they got 1/3 of the people to sign up. Using just a name, boom, they got 3 times as many people. They also determined that observable sign-up was considerably more effective than a $25 incentive. I can skim down, and now we have, since reputation sometimes fails to promote good deeds, the strength of its influence varies based on the likeliness of one's participation being noticed. And then we have, for example, sign-up rates were affected by the observability of the location where the sheet was placed. Interesting. In residences where sheets were posted in high activity spaces, like a shared mailroom, anonymous enrollment was 4.8%, observable was 11.4%. But here's the thing, the comparison between anonymous and observable we already determined. Remember, observable meant their name was included, right? And anonymous meant they used a code. If I didn't have the context, if I didn't zoom out, I wouldn't know that and I wouldn't totally understand this. And I might think, oh wow, the observable is what we're testing and there's lots of observables, so yay. This tells me everything I need. It doesn't tell me everything I need. I need to be able to compare that to these figures from the less active public spaces to make this point. I can't make this point without the comparison. Otherwise, I don't know if 11% is a lot or a little. But compared to 3.8%, I can see that difference, right? And here I can see the difference from this white bar to the white bar. Now, I think it's weird that they're focusing on this difference of 1.4 percentage points. This argument seems weird to me, but this data seems very relevant. So I'm going to say yes. You can see the no's. The no here says because the data it provides is irrelevant. I have some people pick this because they feel like this argument is irrelevant, but notice this says data, not argument. This is how precise you have to be, right? No, because the data it provides contradict the information. No, this data doesn't contradict anything. Yes, because it provides accurate evidence, yes, from the graph to support the argument, yes. Now, I would argue the argument is sort of moot and stupid, but that's not what this says, and it's not, I can't do anything about it. Again, I can't edit it. I can just keep or delete. Yes, because it uses information from the graph to acknowledge an opposing viewpoint. There are no opposing viewpoints. This is out of nowhere. So that makes no sense. So you can see how I can get to the answer choice B, but it takes a few things. One, it takes me really expanding my understanding of the context. I'm finding my topic sentences. I'm reading into it. I'm understanding, where did this come from? In context, what does this mean, right? What do I need to understand the impact of these statistics? Do I need that comparison or not? If I do, I should keep it, even if it comes with a side dish that I don't want, which is this difference part. I think that sounds stupid, but I can't get rid of it. That's fine. But I know how the SAT works, so I know if I hug the answer choices and these say data, data, I'm not worried about this piece. I'm worried about these two. And I focus on the right parts of the sentence and I use that precision. So hopefully that helps you guys understand kind of how precision works, what it means to kind of get these rhetorical strategy questions right. If you can do that, you're going to be in pretty good shape. I hope you guys like this video. If so, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have lots more tips, not only in the writing section, but other sections. And if you really want to ace the writing section and you want to go through every single kind of question and make sure that you know how to approach every single one, I definitely recommend that you check us out at SupertutorTV.com. Thanks so much for watching. Good luck on your SAT. Let us know how it goes in the comments.